What's up, gamers? Recently, I decided to make a game that is slightly inspired by Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, and so far, all I've done is create this character and turn him into a ragdoll, which isn't really that similar to tabs. So I looked into how they actually make their characters, and it turns out they use something called an active ragdoll. Now, if you don't know what an active ragdoll is, basically you just take this guy and you force his bones to move, but with physics instead of normal animation. That's really all I know, which isn't a lot. But what I do know is that active ragdolls are really complicated, which is why you barely ever see them in any games, because most people are smart enough to just go with the simple option of using regular animations and not going through the torture of setting up an active ragdoll. But for some reason, I decided to try and make one for this game, which is pretty much just tabs, but worse. The only problem is that I have no idea what I'm doing. So I found this Medium article that explains it, and you know, it's pretty long, but I think if I go through it, hopefully I'll be able to make something that works, and I can finally make these guys fight. And according to this article, the first thing I need are animations. It says to use an idle animation and a walking animation, but I don't want to figure out how to make the guy walk yet. I just want to get them to punch each other, which means I need a punching animation. So it's a good thing that I'm a professional animator who took a 3D animation course in university that taught me how to download for Mixamo. I'm just going to do some hard animation work right here. Punch animation. And let's see. Boom, punch combo. Yeah, I'll do a punch combo. Okay. And just like that, step one is done. Okay, so now I should have one ragdoll and one animated guy, right? Okay, why is he floating? This is not supposed to happen. So I've spent a little bit of time working on this active ragdoll, and I think it's going pretty well. I've basically just gone through all of the bones of this ragdoll, and I've added a rigid body, a configurable joint, and colliders. But basically, it's kind of all set up. So if I hit play, that's the wrong, I didn't mean to go on the game view. So if I hit the play button, you will see that it's working perfectly. So I think these guys are pretty much ready to fight now. Okay, I don't really know what I'm looking at, but they're kind of fighting each other. Blue's crossing into Red's territory. Red's crossing into Blue's territory. I'm not sure what's going on here. Something might be happening. Can I look into his soul? His eyeballs are right here. Red guy, are you okay? Look, I know the situation looks bad, but I promise you're gonna be okay. It's really not as bad as it looks. Yeah, I'm lying. There's no recovery from this. Okay, so this system doesn't really fit with the creative vision I had in mind, which is just stealing tabs, but I don't think this is really how that game works. So I'm pretty sure what the problem is that on all of these bones that I added to configurable joint, I haven't actually configured any of them. I just kind of added them and hoped it would work, but I think you actually have to go through and like adjust these settings to make it work. I don't know how it works. I don't know how to do any of that. I guess that's what I'll spend my night doing, and I'll get back to you once it's working a little bit better than this. It's been a few hours of me working on this, and I think I have some pretty impressive work to show you. Be prepared. It's only been a few hours, and I've made some pretty good progress. So let me show you. Boom! Look at that. Now, you might be looking at this and thinking, you said you made good progress. What is this? And I guess that's kind of true. It's not really what I want. It's not the final product, but it's a lot better than a pile of goo on the floor. It's at least now a little bit more solid, you know? His neck is rotating in on itself, but it's a step in the right direction. The reason that this is so messed up is because I am using configurable joints. I don't really understand all of it. It's kind of just me guessing what would be right and then seeing how it works. So I just have a whole lot of trial and error to go through to figure this out. Let me look at the documentation. What does this say? This is so complicated. What is this? Analogous to the angular X-limit properties described above, but applies to the Y-axis in regards to both the upper and lower angular limits as being the same. Oh, what? What does this mean? Okay, so it's been about a day of me working on this, and I am proud to say that it is pretty much working. I mean, look at that. Look, wait, let me grab my cube. Let me just beat him up a little bit. As you can see, it's reacting fairly realistically. I mean, this is pretty good. When I was doing this and I was going through each of these bones and I was adjusting the joint, I spent a long time changing all of these numbers and nothing happened. And I realized that's because right here, angular X motion, angular Y motion, angular Z motion, these are set to free by default. And look, when it means free, it basically means it can rotate in any direction as much as it wants. So I had to come here and I realized you have to set it to limited, and then you can set the limits for it. So I wasted a lot of time doing that, but you know, it works now. Also, there's this really cool button up here that I also didn't know about that like lets you alter the limits. Look at this. It's like witchcraft. I really wish I knew that sooner because it would have made it a lot easier than just guessing the numbers and testing it. But it's basically working. The only issue at the moment is if I go to the hips, I set them to is kinematic so that he stands up. If I turn that off, I mean, it's basically just a regular ragdoll. Let me grab my cube. Yeah, it's basically just a regular ragdoll that you can throw around and stuff. But if I want this guy to actually be an active ragdoll, I need him to be animated. So at the moment, I've got two versions of the character. I've got the ragdoll that you saw me create, and I've got this animated guy. Now, what I need to figure out how to do is take this ragdoll and get his bone positions to follow the animation, which is gonna mean I have to do some programming, which I don't really know how to do, but I think I can figure it out. My understanding is that if I go to, where is it here? There is supposed to be a target rotation somewhere in here. I can't find it, but it's in here somewhere. And all I have to do is I have to set that rotation target, and then the bones will try and meet that and will try and be animated. And I'm pretty sure that should work. Now, I haven't actually tested it, so I don't know if it will work, but that's the next step. And I think I've come pretty far. Considering that this is where I started, I think this is pretty good so far. So, it's programming time. This should work. I feel like script created in 2 minutes. Maybe I'm just a great coder because I thought this was going to be complicated, but I coded it in 2 minutes. So surely it's easy, right? And I didn't just do it completely wrong. Fingers crossed. Once I hit play, this ragdoll will start to animate. I hope. I guess let's see. Oh, I got an error. Oh, that's a lot of errors. 999 plus. Okay, I fixed all the errors, I think. Wait, let me just clear it. You didn't see that. You didn't see those errors. Okay, I fixed it all. Okay, something's happening to his leg, but it's not working. Weird, it looks like it should be working. Or is it because I don't have this up? Oh, something happened. Oh my God, is it working? It's, so something's happening. What is happening? This doesn't look like the animation. Let me enable the animation and see. Okay, so it's not working. I realize I only set the angular X drive and Y drive for one bone. So ideally, changing it here will get the animation to work. Why isn't this working? What did I do wrong? Okay, it's possible I have the axes of rotation wrong. Like if I change the head, okay, nope. Okay, as you can see, this is clearly working perfectly. But, you know, I might just spend a little bit of time tweaking some values just to make it slightly more accurate because I don't think it would hurt, you know, just to make it look a little more similar to the animation. It's pretty close right now, but it could probably be improved a little bit. So I think I'm gonna spend some time doing that, and I'll be back once it's working. I mean, not because it's not working now. I'll be back when it's working a little bit better than it is now because it's already like 95% of the way there. I'm just trying to do that last 5% of work. So, I don't know what I'm doing. All right, I've spent quite a bit of time working on this active ragdoll, and I think I can say now for sure that it is working. There was a lot of challenges I faced getting this set up. I had to do all of the work of setting up all of the joints, and then I somehow accidentally deleted everything and I had to restart from scratch. So that was fun, but I think everything is working. I think these guys are ready for their first actual fight in 3, 2, 1, fight. Gotta wait for it to load. Boom! Look at that. So the animation is working, as you can see, but actually if I want these guys to fight, I need to move them a little bit closer. They still can't move yet because that's a whole other complicated thing that I'm not gonna get into. So I'll just move this guy for him. Boom! Fight! They're going at it. Look at that. Look at this, dude. It works so well. Okay, they're kind of sliding each other away from each other. Here, I can move them back. Get him, red guy. Get him. I spent like 5 days getting this to work, dude. What am I doing? Also, to make sure these guys could actually stand up to fight each other, I added in a little simple balance system that just rotates the hips to face upwards. Here, I can show you the balance. Boing, boing, boing. And they're still trying to fight each other. That's how dedicated they are to the art of war. If you guys want to know how it works, I'll give you guys a pretty quick description. You need to have your character, of course, like this beautiful red guy. And then in the game object for the character, you need to have an animated version of the character that just plays an animation. You don't actually need the goo guy. That was just something that I chose to have. But the thing you do need is a ragdoll. So you need an animated character and a ragdoll. But in the ragdoll, you just have to go through all of the bones and then add a configurable joint. And then you have to play around with this axis, primary axis and the secondary axis. And then you have to set all your constraints, which is basically just how far you want each bone to rotate. And you just do that for every single bone. And then you don't have an active ragdoll yet because then you still need to get it to move. Basically, you just have to go down here and you set a positional spring, a positional damper, and then that'll get it to move to the target rotation. Then you have to make a script right here that adjusts the rotation to the animated rotation, and it gets complicated from there. And I don't really know how any of it works because I stole all of the code, but that's basically how it works. And if that was a little bit confusing, I'll link all of the resources I used to make this. And if you want to download this Unity project, that'll be on my Patreon for a small financial contribution because I'm here for profit. But that's there if you want it. The next thing to do on this project is to take this animation that is playing, get rid of it, and replace it with inverse kinematic animation, which is like animation, but a lot more complicated. So that'll be fun. But until then, peace out, gamers.